I hope you all are ready for the next session. And just like what Marla did earlier, I'm not going to go with the bio that is already posted online that everyone can read. So our next speaker is going to be Dale Cowan. And he gave me some highlights or lowlights, or I'm not sure, some lights of his career. So he managed ag retail full service in the late 80s, FERT, ag chem, seed, and custom app. So he knows what's going on. 2 years crop consulting, managed and then bought Agri-Food Laboratories, a soil feed and water testing lab, and managed that for 22 years. He is a child prodigy, by the way. He started very early. Currently at AGRIS Co-operative. In 2016, he got the Ontario Certified Crop Advisor Award of Excellence. He didn't got, he earned through all that experience. He followed that up in 2017 with another prestigious award, the International CCA of the Year Award, only the second Canadian to do so, led by the first Canadian, John Hurd. So it's an elite little crew, and it's very good to have you here. So as a final note, this year, Dale was inducted into the Ontario Agricultural Hall of Fame just in June. So with that, let's welcome Dale, and he'll get us going.
Well, good morning. Oh, that's good. Got a few people still paying attention. Well, that's good. Well, it's great to be here. Thank you, Tang, for the introduction. The only trouble with that, I got to live up to expectations, maybe. So a little bit of background on. So I work for a cooperative. There's no secret there. We are a large cooperative. We are actually farmer owned by 1,100 farm families down in our trading area here, which is basically southwest of London. If you know where London, Ontario is, that's kind of our trading area on the north shore of Lake Erie. We have 10 retail locations. As I said, 1,100 farm families. They elect the board of directors. So we are farmer owned. Everything we do are for our farm members. All the profits get piled back into the co-op. We've been spending about $8 to $10 million a year on fixed assets and equipment to keep servicing our customers. So it's been quite the commitment. People think we are owned by Growmark. We are affiliated with Growmark out of Bloomington, Illinois, but they don't own us. We actually own them. We are members. And of course, membership has its privileges. They have an $8 billion a year buying clout. We don't. And so there's lots of opportunities and strengths in working with a large co-op in that regard. So our trading area is about 1.2 million acres there. We like to think we have market leader market share at about 35%. So we are dealing in about 400,000 acres of customers' data. So wide range in soil textures, wide range in cropping. So I want to talk about technology in an ag retail environment. As you all know, ag retail is a busy place. You know, when we look at our company, we have 10 locations. In those 10 locations, it only takes 40 customers to give us 80% of our business. So 400 customers give us 80% of our business, yet we put out 5,500 statements at the end of June at the end of the spring season. So we are busy places. And so how do you incorporate, how do you get focused on doing this? And I'm fortunate that I have a lot of resources. I work with a four-man management team or three others that I'll explain a little bit later as we go what the roles are. But what I'm about to tell you is we didn't do this last week. This has been a 22-year in the making progress to get to the technology point that we are today. So this doesn't happen overnight. But just talking about technology in general, this is the hype cycle. It pretty much describes the entry of any technology in mankind. Even sliced bread followed this. Sliced bread, I think, was invented like 1902, and it took 22 years for sliced bread to be commonplace in the marketplace, but it kind of went through the same thing. So there's always this trigger that says, boy, it'd be really good if I had technology that did something, right? So somebody invents something, marketplace gets all hyped up, everybody buys it. You get that peak of inflated expectations. Then the reality sits in that this isn't doing exactly what they said it would do. So you get to the trough of disillusionment, and some people give up. Some people stay with it. The company may stick with it and make improvements, and you get to that slope of enlightenment where all of a sudden the light bulbs start coming on. So this is how you use this technology. And then you get on to the plateau of productivity and you carry on. And every product that I've ever seen in the marketplace follows this kind of concept. So today, you know, a lot of this technology is being funded by venture capitalists. Nothing wrong with that. I'm quite happy that millions and millions of dollars are being poured into ag. Just think if we didn't have that investment, where we'd be with ag. So I think it's all a good thing, but sometimes they want first mover advantage on a technology. So they may push the principles of a company. You know, you're 60% ready, let's go. And let's work with people in the marketplace and let's get it developed. And sometimes that's a problem. Sometimes it's not, but that's where or it goes, and so it's not quite ready for prime time. So what's important, what the difference between the peak and the trough and the plateau for us is quite often, what's your strategy? What's the process to implement the strategy? And then what training are you going to do with your staff? And I think the training part is probably the most overlooked aspect in retail of implementing any technologies, bringing all of your staff together into the team and get everybody heading in the right direction. And sometimes you have to be prepared. It's a little rough road sometimes when you buy technology, so you got to make sure you're ready to go. It can be a rough patch, and getting the cheese first, sometimes you can get hurt, and maybe the second mouse gets the cheese sometimes. So there's lots of roadblocks and headwinds in playing technology. So often asked, well, how do you sort through the hype? Well, what I do personally is I just ask myself one simple question. What problem am I trying to solve with this technology that someone's presenting me with? If I can't clearly define that, then I guess I really don't know what my problems are. So first step is defining what it is that you think you're going to solve with whatever technology you're looking at. And then you have to be able to identify those limiting factors in your business. Once you create that strategy with a clear vision, then you go shopping, right? And so we've looked at a number of technologies in our company, from very weight applicators to drones to dashboard services and what have you. So bring us the probes and sensors. We already had a wonderful presentation by Brian. I'm just going to give you a quick little experience with one I've had recently with soil sampling. But, you know, it's rapid analysis. You know, time is money. Anytime in retail, you can save some time and effort. That's something you want to look at. Can we do things more economically, and can we do them with a more rapid or faster? These are all things that appeal to us. But will it produce the desired outcome, right? So you have to do a little bit of testing. So soil test probes. The pitch I got was it's rapid, it's inexpensive, and it's really accurate. I said, okay, I need to see some data. So I asked and asked and asked if they would show me some comparative analysis, say, did you grid sample a 50-acre field with your probe and with lab analysis? Yes, they did, but they didn't want to show it. So anyways, I worked through the GrowMark system in the US to get there. So here's quickly the results of comparing lab analysis versus the probe. For those of you who've maybe followed some of John Hurd's work, you know an R squared, if an R squared is 1, it's a perfect fit, which means those lines would be on a 45-degree angle upward and to the right, and every dot would be on the line, perfect correlation. But you don't see that here. You see R squared is 0.009. So you've got pH, organic matter, P and K, and there just really isn't any coordination. So I don't care how fast this is or how inexpensive it is, I need data to help our customers farm better. So not throwing it under the bus. They got a lot more work to do. And they're in trouble with this technology. The more data they put in the database, millions and millions of samples, it might get smarter. But the soil sample you did last year, what happens when you resample that field? Is the change because of the new calibration, or is the change because of practice? So to me, the value in soil sampling to me is trend analysis. Are my soil samples going up, down, or staying the same? I want to track trends. Any one analysis is good, but a whole bunch strung together tells a better story on fertility. So that's my personal view on that. You want to beware with new technology that's coming. They've taken a page out of Microsoft. You don't own Microsoft Windows. You buy a license to use it. So the new technologies are coming this way. Perpetual income is you buy a service. So you rent the probe, you pay a fee for the probe, you pay a fee for analysis, you pay a fee for data management. So these business models may not align with the concept of you thinking I'm going to buy something and own it, depreciate it, and carry on. So just be aware that all these technologies, or a lot of them coming, are fee for service and or being presented as a service. So I want to spend a little time on the agronomists tomorrow. We've had lots of technology conversations. I really think your roles are going to change tremendously in the future, and it's not necessarily about hard assets. It's going to be about data. How are you going to prepare yourself to be in that data world, being mobile and being connected? So as I say, not my original thought, but I don't think technology will replace the agronomist, but I do believe that agronomists that use technology will replace those that don't. Okay, so I think there's a real need here to move forward and stay current on technology. And the transformation I've seen in the last 25 years I've been involved with this is we started with precision ag. Now it's digital ag. And I like the term digital ag better than precision ag, because precision We got in our minds we have to be precise and perfect before we do anything in the field. We suffer from paralysis from analysis, and we don't really sometimes do anything. So the fact with digital ag, you only have to be a little bit better tomorrow than you were yesterday. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep progressing, trying things on a small scale. Did they work? Didn't they work? Try something again. Just keep moving forward, trying and trialing the technology. The fundamental change is going to be are we building systems in ag retail to handle the volume, velocity, and variety of data that's going to come at us from farm equipment? If you're hooked up with My John Deere or FieldView and you got your own integrated GIS system, can you seamlessly collect that data without a data entry person sitting there typing it in? That's really the future's data flows seamlessly from one application to another. So that's a skill set and investment that ag retail, I think, needs to make. So digital strategy to me is very simple. We got 3 points. You got people that do the work. That's not changed. You've got process that tells us how we're going to do the work. And you got technologies where we do the work. And I see a lot of retails in my trading area. They go right to the technology. They don't have process. Technology fails miserably. You haven't brought your staff on side. You haven't trained. You haven't put the strategy in place and got buy-in from everybody in the organization. It quite often views the new technology as something else my boss wants me to do. So this whole integration now of people, process, and technology really is the secret to moving ahead with technology. So I'm going to share a little bit what AGRIS Co-op did, not to belabor the point, but our board of directors came up with a digital ag strategy based on 3 pillars. Build transparent relationships with customers. That doesn't mean inappropriate sharing of private information. That means as a company, we demonstrate that we're trustworthy in all aspects of doing business with our customer. So we're not hiding anything from anybody, right? Want to enhance that relationship with technology? All of our farmers have unbelievable technology on farm back home. Planter monitors, sprayers, all hooked up, combine yield monitors. They're collecting lots of data, and quite frankly, they want to work with someone that can help them do something with it. But finally, for us, it's this understanding the roles, how employees' roles are going to change in a mobile, digitally connected world where things are in real time, things are happening quickly. How do you learn to handle that and not get burned out and frustrated? So what are the skill sets? What are the training? What are the tools that are required to do that? So there are some fundamentals in a digital ag strategy. So we're developing processes, which guides all the activities. We got to do the work in an organized fashion. Databases are connected and information flows to dashboards seamlessly. So as a manager, every morning I get a dashboard report that tells me how many custom application acres were done yesterday, how many acres of soil sampling were done and who did them. And I can see time spent in the field. I can see distance between fields. I can start to understand how we're doing things. So what's changing in the dashboards, I move from an area of I think I know what's going on in my business to I now know what's going on in my business, right? So that's one of the features in the business world is connecting data, machine data coming in to understand how your business is operating. We are moving slowly from analog to digital. Boy, this is a uphill battle. It's too easy to write things on sticky notes and write things in notebooks and tear out a page and give it to the person in the office to type in an order, right? But being digital means you've got a tablet or you've got a mobile device. While you're standing in front of the customer, put the seed order right in, right? Don't write it down, put it right in. Boy, that's hard, right? We're not wired that way. So that's the challenge we have. I have 37 customer-facing staff that I work with every day on trying to use the tools. And let's just say I won't be out of a job anytime soon. But change is difficult. You have to recognize that in a company that you can't just roll over people. You got to bring them along. So everybody has a different way of training. And I just say, everybody, this is a process. It's not a race. There is no finish line because just when you get one technology mastered, guess what? There's an update. Okay, something enhancement. So you're never ending on the tool. So it's really hard for a lot of us to really work in an environment where you go to work today and you open up the laptop and it's a different looking screen. Same data, but they've added a feature. That throws some people for a loop. So I said, it seems like a harsh statement here, but boy, if you don't like change, you're going to like being irrelevant even less. As your company, as your customers evolve, and they're using technology, they're looking for people to help them. If he's got 5 years of yield data he's never looked at, He's been to a conference, said, boy, you really need to look at your yield data. He comes home, well, who's going to look at the yield data with, right? So are you the trusted advisor? Are you someone that can sit down? Do you have the tools and the wherewithal to actually do that, some of that kind of stuff? So that's really where the crux of the matter is right now. So I said earlier, I work on a 4-man team. I look after the technical agronomy training. I have someone, Nicole Robert, she's our systems analyst. She goes around to all the locations to make sure everyone knows how to use all the tools and modules in our integrated system. Brian Kofeld is our sales manager. He's managing the relationship with the customer in the technology world. And then I have Petra Hathaway, who's our HR person, or our customer experience coach. She's doing development programs with all our new staff and some of our senior staff. Are they getting the training? Are they finishing the training? Are they coming along, and are they prospering in the new reality of our digital ag strategy? So I realize that's a luxury that I have. Not every business has that kind of resource, but for us, that seems to be working for us. But if you're going to be in this world, there's one structure you absolutely got to have. So if you have your own GIS program, whether it's SMS, Agfinity, or some other laptop, AgGreen, or we happen to use SSI, AgVance, farmer may be on John Deere. There's one fundamental thing that lets you communicate. And if you have customers have farms, farms have fields. Fields absolutely have to have a georeference boundary. And once you do that, you can know the acres. So when you have that structure, you soon know how little or how much you know about your customer base when you have all that, right? So that's the fundamental. That's what lets you communicate with all the other databases out there that farmers may have. So we've chosen to invest in a system that's colorblind. I don't need a John Deere software to deal with John Deere. I don't need SMS to deal with my Agfinity customers. I don't need Case IH software to deal with Case customers. I've got an integrated system that's colorblind. And as I said earlier, our long-term goal with our staff is we want to be able to conduct all the business we do with a customer while we're standing in front of them on a mobile device. No more running back to the office to print out a statement, show them the statement while you're standing there, show them his prepay, show them his booking, show them account balance, show them his field maps, show them his soil test data, run a script while you're standing there, show them what a variable rate application map might look like. Do it while you're there, right? That's the goal. Can't say we're there. So very quickly, what's our structure look like? So with the software system we have, we start with a hub. This is where we put all our customer information, all the field names, all the contact information, all the preferences for the customer. Do this one time, everything flows from here. That customer farm field boundary acre concept is so vitally important. So we've mapped out over 25 years all of our customers' field boundaries. Any data they've shared with us, we've got it all inside a central system. It's cloud-based, it's secured, it's backed up and protected. And so we start with things like we have a single dashboard that lets us see all the business we do with a single customer, called Customer 360. So we don't have to go hunt through last year's invoices or last year's blend tickets. It's all right there on a single page view. Customer, same way, we call it My FS. Customer's got the same view of everything we do for him. You can see his maps, his soil test data, his as-applied maps, his yield maps, what have you. We're big on 4R stewardship. We are a 4R certified dealer in Ontario. Soil sampling is absolutely key. We want soil samples no older than 4 years. So which one of the fields do we need to soil sample this year? It's a big difference between asking a customer if you'd like to have soil sampling done or informing a customer these 5 fields are due to be soil sampled this year. Is it okay if we go ahead? That's a fundamental shift in the way we deal with customers. If you have the data, you'd be able to know that. Crop planning. We do crop plans by customer, by farm, by field, by crop, by product every year, some 600,000 acres. That's what our crop specialists do all winter long. That all flows. Mapping is where we have everything recorded for field boundaries and data. We've got all the usual cast of characters there, soil test data, maps, recommendations as applied. All feeds into blending. Blending feeds into our VRA application technology. We have dispatch, where we have single people at a zone or at a hub. They know where all the applications are. They have a screen. They see all the applicators running in the spring. They can see if they're partly done a field, when to send the next tender truck, starting to build efficiencies. And the one thing we learned very quickly, the metric that pays for an applicator is simply acres per hour. So if you're not getting the acres per hour done and you realize the applicator's been sitting for 2 hours without a tender truck, that focuses you on the right action. You don't get upset with the applicator operator who's not doing anything. He can't do anything if he's got no product. So these are the things I'm saying. You move from, I think I know what's going on, to I know exactly what's happening. So these are the tools that we're using. And then, of course, our external databases, we're big climate field view users. You know, planters, sprayers, combines, all integrated. Our customers are willing to share that with us. We're also hooked up with sharing through the John Deere Operations Center. Of course, AgFinity is big in our area, so we have some customers that share data through that. And of course, the good old-fashioned USB stick has not gone away. We have a lot of customers that still communicate that way. Oh, sorry. Okay. Thank you. So in a nutshell, this is the structure that we're using. Not saying this is the end all and be all, but just give you a flavor of, in an ag retail environment, what you might be looking at to build a database. So that's our database, a lot of massive blue dots. That's a whole bunch of field boundaries. You keep drilling down, that's what it looks like. You know, we've got, well, it's more than that now, but 720,000 acres of field boundaries and data. Drill down even further, this is a yield map. So when you start dealing with customers that have mapping capability, I would say that 80% of yield maps never get looked at after harvest. They watch the yield monitor. It takes the boredom of U-turn cash crop farming to watch that yield monitor bounce off 300 bushel acre corn, but seldom will they, at the end of the season, ever look at a yield map. So that's one thing we've zeroed in on, is how do we get the yield map being looked at? There's tremendous value in it. So this particular field was a good year, 258 bushel average, but we're looking at a differential of 185 bushel acre yield difference between the low and high yield. We have farms that don't average that. So all of a sudden you've got a lot more to talk about. And one thing I'll tell you about a yield map, you put this in front of a farmer, stop talking and listening. A farmer will tell you everything about what's going on in that field. They know where the red areas are. They know where the green areas are good. So our trick is to understand what are the attributes that are causing that, and can we create a strategy from that through the conversation and looking at other data. You know, turn that simply into a P&K removal map. One of the values of a yield map, if you don't have soil test data, or your soil tests are where you need to be, and the farmer feels that he needs to spend some money and you want to put back nutrients in a 4R responsible manner, then put it back where they came from. Profit maps. This is one we're just starting to implement. A profit map is dollars and cents, of course. You use the farmer's selling price, use the farmer's cost of production to create his own profit map. Changes the conversation. What's your price of urea again? To where do I make more money? Show me where my profits could be increased. Okay, so it fundamentally changes the conversation, but you got to be prepared to spend the time, have those conversations. Lots of technology on farms. So Brian showed you that morass of all the companies in biostims. We get harassed by that constantly. So we pick a few. So we go out and we put replicated field trials in. So this happens to be side dress boron. We've done this for several years. You know, we did about 7 replicated strips. The math says 6.4 bushel response. Haven't done the stats on it yet. But what's simple about this is the farmer gave us the as-applied map where he put the boron on with the UAN. He gave us his yield map in the fall. This didn't even take us 20 seconds to do this analysis. So in the old days, you'd be in the field with stakes. You'd be there with a weigh wagon in the fall, or hopefully you were there with a weigh wagon in the fall. Fill out a bunch of paperwork, do some manual calculations. As a senior agronomist, I may have gotten this by February. I got this the day after harvest, right? So again, technology really shortens some timelines. Here's another one, biostimulant. This is Biopath. Not that that overly matters for today's presentation, but we very easily did 24 replications with and without Biopath. The math says 2.8 bushel. I haven't done the stats yet. I just got this last week, actually. So, but those are the things. So now you get at the data real fast on all these new products. This is a simple way, a more effective way in a digital environment to do field trial work. So the thing I like about FieldView, being able to connect with customers' data. If he's got his planter hooked up, he's got his own sprayer hooked up, he's got his combine hooked up, and he shares that data, I know when things were done. So when I'm doing pre-call planning, when the farmer says, can you come and look at the field? There's something funky going on. If I have FieldView, I can pull up the imagery and I can maybe see what he's seeing, or he's maybe dropped me a pin and put a comment and a picture there that I know where to go and look. Tremendous time saver. If he shares all his data, I know what hybrid was planted. I know what date it was planted. I know where in the field it was planted. I know he put in multiple hybrids. If he did his own spraying, I know what he sprayed, when he sprayed it. I have climate data that tells me how soon it rained after planting. I got growing degree day accumulation. I got a growth model that tells me what growth stage should be in. All these things are flowing seamlessly, where before, with your valued customer, you go there and say, when did you plant this field again? He might get out a little book That was May 9th, right? In something like Field View, if he's sharing all the data in a digital environment, you don't need to ask, and he doesn't need to remember. It's all done, it's all recorded, it's all shared. Just saying how much time you could save when you go into the field to look at the problem, not play 20 questions with the farmer that's your valued customer. You've got the important information right at your fingertips. So there's a printout of a page. I know how many times he's in the field. I know what he sprayed, the amounts and the dates. So I've got an awful lot of information on what this guy did on this field before I have to do a whole lot of other things. So the agronomist tomorrow summary, I may be going a little quick here. I tend to talk fast. But so my take on how your future is going to change, you're likely going to spend more time with key accounts that have all the technology, and you're going to have to learn to develop some very clear needs with the customer. You might even get to the point where you're de-educating the customer. They're going to spend endless hours on the internet. They may have lots of stuff that they want to share with you. They may even come to your office with a wad of papers about everything off the internet, and then put it in front of you and say, what do you think of all this? And I would advise you, you can look at it, it's up to you. I advise you to grab those papers, put it to the side, lean in and ask the farmer what he's really trying to do. That's the value in the crop specialist. Learn to interpret data, simple stuff. Simply look at a map. It's not complicated, right? You don't have to have massive logarithms. Just take a look. Our crop specialist telling us it takes longer to do a sales call because the farmer wants to look at data. Never had data before, never had a short conversation. Learn to effectively ask questions. Don't ask questions to get your answer. Ask enough questions that the farmer and you are fully on the same page. Big one, develop your writing skills. I may be a little old-fashioned on this, but I think communication skills are absolutely vital. Not only your verbal skills, but being able to write concisely and precisely and communicate effectively. I'll say this about ChatGPT. It's not you. It's not genuine. So if you're going to deal with your customers, put your own thoughts down. Nothing wrong with GPT to get some thoughts. Become proficient at collecting data on mobile devices. That's all I'm saying in the future. Data is all around us. Access it, work with it, build some skills around that. And I think I'm getting the hook.